When Carlos Correa walked into the Beverly Hills Charity Gala wearing his best tuxedo, he never expected that by the end of the evening, he would be planning the most dangerous move of his career. Not on a baseball field, but in a love triangle that would soon explode into the most talked-about celebrity fight of the year. The gala was Hollywood's most exclusive event, raising funds for Latin American education initiatives. Carlos had been invited as one of baseball's biggest Latino stars, while Ana de Armas attended as the evening's honored guest. What made the night even more significant was that Ana arrived on the arm of Tom Cruise, their relationship having gone public just weeks earlier with viral photos that had dominated social media. Carlos noticed Ana immediately, not just because of her stunning beauty, but because of the genuine way she spoke with young scholarship recipients in fluent Spanish, sharing stories about her own journey from Cuba to Hollywood. When they were introduced during the cocktail hour, their conversation flowed effortlessly. "I grew up watching baseball with my grandfather in Havana," Ana told Carlos, her eyes lighting up. "He always said the game was poetry in motion. Now I understand what he meant." What neither of them realized was that this innocent conversation was the beginning of something that would challenge everything they thought they knew about love, loyalty, and the price of fame. Tom had stepped away to speak with directors about his next Mission Impossible film, leading Ana and Carlos to discover their shared passion for their Caribbean roots, family traditions, and the pressures of representing their cultures in American entertainment. Little did Tom know that his absence was allowing a connection to form that would soon threaten his own relationship. "You know," said Carlos as they moved to a quieter corner of the ballroom, "in Puerto Rico, we have a saying, el corazón no se equivoca. The heart doesn't make mistakes. Sometimes the most important connections happen when we least expect them." Ana smiled, and for a moment she forgot about the cameras, the expectations, and even Tom's presence in the room. What she felt in that moment was something she hadn't experienced since moving to Hollywood, a genuine connection with someone who understood her background without explanation. As the evening progressed, Carlos and Ana found themselves stealing moments together, comparing childhood stories, laughing about the challenges of maintaining their accents in American entertainment, and discovering that they both missed the simplicity of home. But what started as innocent cultural bonding was becoming something much more complicated. When Tom returned to Ana's side, he immediately sensed a change in her demeanor. She was more animated, her smile brighter, and she kept glancing toward Carlos throughout the rest of the gala. Tom's Hollywood instincts told him that something had shifted, but he couldn't quite identify the threat. What Tom didn't know was that Carlos and Ana had already exchanged numbers, and by the time they left the gala separately, they were both thinking about a conversation that felt more like destiny than coincidence. The secret that was born that night would soon force all three of them to confront the difference between public relationships and private connections, and the price each of them was willing to pay for love. 3 months after the gala, Carlos Correa made a decision that shocked the baseball world. He requested a trade from the Minnesota Twins to the Houston Astros. The official reason was his desire to compete for another championship, but what the sports media didn't know was that Ana de Armas had just signed on to film her next movie in Houston, and Carlos had been secretly meeting with her whenever she visited Texas for pre-production. Their relationship had developed through carefully orchestrated encounters, private dinners in Houston's most exclusive restaurants, quiet walks through the city's arts district, and long conversations that stretched until dawn. Ana found herself living 2 completely different lives. Her public relationship with Tom, filled with red carpet events and paparazzi photos, and her secret connection with Carlos, where she could simply be herself. What made their situation even more complicated was that Ana genuinely cared for both men, but in completely different ways. Tom represented the Hollywood dream she had worked her entire career to achieve, while Carlos offered something she had lost along the way, the comfort of shared culture and authentic connection. Tom, meanwhile, was becoming increasingly suspicious. Ana's frequent trips to Houston, her newfound interest in baseball, and the distant way she sometimes looked at him during their public appearances all suggested that something had changed. When he discovered that Carlos Correa had specifically requested a trade to Houston, his concerns crystallized into suspicion. Little did Tom realize that his investigation into Anna's Houston visits would lead him directly into a confrontation that would make international headlines. On a warm Thursday evening in May, Tom surprised Anna by flying to Houston unannounced. She had told him she was attending a movie industry networking event, but when Tom's private investigator traced her location to Brennan's, one of Houston's most romantic restaurants, he knew she wasn't there for business. Tom entered the restaurant expecting to find Anna with film executives. Instead, he discovered her at an intimate corner table, laughing intimately with Carlos Correa. What he witnessed in that moment would trigger a jealous rage that would transform a quiet dinner into a public spectacle. "Anna," Tom said, approaching their table with forced calm. "What an interesting business meeting." Carlos stood immediately, recognizing the tension in Tom's voice. "Tom, good to see you. Anna and I were just discussing—" "I know exactly what you were discussing, Anna. We need to talk. Now." Anna looked between the two men, realizing that her carefully maintained secret was about to explode in the most public way possible. What she said next would either defuse the situation or guarantee that their love triangle would become tabloid headlines for months. "Tom, please sit down. We can discuss this like adults," she said quietly. But Tom was beyond reasoning. 3 months of suspicion and wounded pride had built to this moment, and what happened next would prove that even Hollywood's most controlled action star could lose his composure when his heart was on the line. The confrontation that was about to unfold would be captured on hidden phones and become the most viral celebrity fight video of the decade. "Adults?" Tom's voice cracked with anger as other diners began to notice the commotion. "Adults don't sneak around behind their boyfriend's back for 3 months." Carlos stepped closer, his own temper flaring. "Maybe if you paid more attention to what Anna actually wants instead of treating her like a red carpet accessory, she wouldn't need to find real connection elsewhere." What happened next transformed an elegant restaurant into a battlefield that would be replayed millions of times across social media. Tom's face flushed red as he pointed accusingly at Carlos. "You think you can steal my girlfriend because you hit a few home runs? Anna is with me, you minor league wannabe." "Minor league?" Carlos's voice turned dangerous. "I make more in 1 season than your last 3 movies combined. And unlike your stunts, everything I do is real, including how I feel about Anna." The restaurant's VIP section fell silent as the two superstars faced off. Anna stood between them, but what she didn't anticipate was how quickly words would become actions. Tom suddenly grabbed his wine glass and hurled it toward Carlos, who ducked as the glass shattered against the wall behind him. "You want to play games, baseball boy?" Carlos's restraint snapped. He shoved Tom hard enough to send the action star stumbling backward into an empty table. Plates crashed to the floor as Tom regained his balance and launched himself at Carlos. The fight that erupted would be described by witnesses as the most intense celebrity brawl in restaurant history. Carlos, with his athlete's reflexes, caught Tom's wild swing and spun him around, sending him crashing into a serving cart. Tom recovered quickly, his action movie training evident, as he grabbed a chair and swung it toward Carlos's head. Carlos ducked and tackled Tom around the waist, both men crashing into the restaurant's elegant wine display. "Stop it, both of you!" Anna screamed, but the two men were beyond hearing anything except their own rage. Tom landed a solid punch to Carlos's ribs, but the baseball star responded by lifting Tom off his feet and slamming him onto the table where they had been having dinner moments before. Silverware scattered across the floor as Tom rolled away and grabbed a serving tray, swinging it like a weapon. What finally ended the fight was the arrival of restaurant security and Carlos's Astros teammates, who had been dining at a nearby table. It took 4 men to separate the two stars, both bleeding and breathing hard. "This isn't over, Correa." Tom shouted as his security team pulled him toward the exit. "Anna knows where she belongs." Carlos, wiping blood from his split lip, called back, "Then why is she still here with me instead of leaving with you?" The question hung in the air as Tom stormed out of the restaurant, leaving Anna to face the aftermath of a love triangle that had just become very public, very messy, and very viral. Within hours, secretly recorded videos of the fight were trending worldwide with hashtag Tom versus Carlos, and Ana de Armas found herself at the center of the most talked-about celebrity scandal of the year. The choice she would make in the coming days would determine not just her romantic future, but the careers of two of the world's most famous men. If this story had you on the edge of your seat, don't forget to like and subscribe to The Baseball Story for more incredible tales from the diamond. What other celebrity love triangles might be hiding behind the headlines?